The key to a successful stable in WWE is making sure all the members of the group have purpose and value. Iconic groups such as Evolution and The Shield worked because each member of the group was a star, and the lasting legacy of the stable will live on forever. Unfortunately, there are those stables whose time as a unit is rather brief, and it's often forgotten about by the wider WWE fanbase. These stables in question benefit absolutely nobody, and they're ultimately scrapped either due to a change of creative plans or the stable being unable to connect with the audience. But which ones were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE stables that went absolutely nowhere. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and on our wrestling channel, Incredible. Number 10, Knights of the Lone Wolf. Now you're probably thinking, who on earth are the Knights of the Lone Wolf? Well, the stable debuted in 2021 and featured Baron Corbin along with Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake. Unfortunately, just as the stable was getting going, Cutler and Blake were abruptly released from WWE due to budget cuts, and the stable was disbanded. Blake would discuss the origins and creative plans for the stable during an interview with Inside the Ropes, and this is what the former WWE star had to say. Creative came to us with the look they wanted. They wanted the clean-shaven look. They wanted us with the hoodies, with suits and stuff like that. They wanted to go like a more modern, athletic, sports entertainer look. We were very excited for it, and I know I was very excited to work with Corbin and get back on TV and just kind of get your foot back in the door. Once we started with Baron Corbin, we were very excited because there were some creative plans going forward with us working with the Mysterios, which is one of those dream matches that everyone wishes that they could have because Rey Mysterio is such a legend and he can still go in the ring, and getting to work with his son Dominic would have been so much fun. Number 9, Apple. Now, there are some stables in WWE that just last for one single night and never get mentioned again. This was the case with the Apple stable, which stood for Allied People Powered by Loathing Everything That You Stand For. The group consisted of Santino Marella, Mark Henry, Daniel Bryan and Evan Bourne, and they were put together to work against the infamous Core faction. Get it? Apple Core? Yeah. Well, the Apple stable lost their first match after Marella was pinned by Heath Slater, and WWE decided to pull the plug on the stable after just one single matchup. It was a shame as the group had some fantastic talent and the majority of the members didn't have a really prominent role on television at the time. Number 8, the Cosmic Wasteland. The Cosmic Wasteland stable had a ton of potential. It featured Stardust joining forces with the Ascension, and whilst their segments were rather cartoonish in nature, the stable actually had a lot of support from fans. The issue was mainly a lack of television time, as most of the TV time devoted to the trio was on secondary WWE shows such as Main Event, a show which unfortunately fans tend to ignore. WWE had no interest in devoting meaningful TV time to the group, and this meant that the connection with fans was quickly lost. The stable was randomly taken off television, and Rhodes departed from the company in 2016, officially putting an end to the once promising stable. Number 7, The X Factor. In early 2001, WWE attempted to give X-Pac somewhat of a push by creating a stable led by the former European champion. X-Pac was going to be joined by Just Incredible and Albert to create the X Factor. Whilst there was certainly great talent in the stable, fans just had no desire to see the trio team up. The stable was never presented as a credible threat, and it was never made clear to the audience why the group was even together. The group would fizzle out by the end of 2001, but thanks to a number of interviews, we know that all three members of the group had a blast working alongside each other. Number 6, The Union. The WWE Attitude Era was a time where WWE tried anything and everything, and this extended to creating new stables. In 1999, they created The Union, which stood for Union of People You Ought to Respect.
We do have initials. Just call us up yours, Shane! What?
And the stable had some legendary WWE superstars attached to it, including Mankind and The Big Show. The group formed to rebel against the corporate ministry, and the group could have easily been identified thanks to them carrying around wooden 2x4s. When the corporate ministry quickly disbanded in the summer of 1999, so did the Union, as the stable casually drifted apart without any logical explanation. It was appreciated that WWE tried to create a credible foil for the corporate ministry, but they clearly didn't plan how they wanted the faction warfare to play out. Number 5, The Cabinet. WWE decided to attempt to elevate JBL's WWE title reign in the summer of 2004 by giving him his own stable known as The Cabinet. The group consisted mainly of Orlando Jordan, the Basham brothers, but they were also joined by Amy Weber and Jillian Hall. Now in theory this stable should have worked, but it was clear that JBL didn't need a stable, as he could carry his title reign on his own. JBL was so impressive as a heel character and his promo work was so impactful that everyone in the stable just seemed mediocre as a result. Stables should attempt to give mid to lower card wrestlers a chance in the spotlight, but the cabinet didn't really do this. It was clear to fans that Jordan wasn't the best in-ring talent, and WWE had no time for the tag division during this time, meaning that the Basham brothers had already reached their glass ceiling. Number 4. Judgment Day version 1.0. Now, the idea of Edge creating a stable was an incredibly exciting prospect. This concept would take shape at WrestleMania 38 as Damian Priest would join forces with Edge to create the Judgment Day. Judgment Day had a sinister undertone to it, and it looked like the aim of the stable was to push Priest into the main event scene. The stable would then add Rhea Ripley, which was a genius move, and it looked like the stable was going to be one of the all-time greats. However, in the summer of 2022, WWE changed their creative direction for the group. Finn Balor would then join the group, and Balor alongside the other members of the group would turn on Edge, officially kicking him out of the stable. Now, the initial version of the Judgment Day stable was dead just mere months after it started. It was an utter shame as the group being led by Edge was a surefire way to make brand new stars. Number 3. Thuggin and Buggin Enterprises. Thuggin and Buggin Enterprises had an interesting premise. Initially, the idea for the stable was going to see Theodore Long recruit African-American superstars who believed that they were being held down. Long would first recruit D'Lo Brown before he expanded the group to include the likes of Rodney Mack and Christopher Nowinski. The group suffered massively from a lack of credibility, and despite Long being a tremendous promo guy, he just couldn't get the members of his stable over to the degree WWE wanted. Eventually, Mark Henry joined the stable, but in 2003, Henry had yet to put it all together in the ring as he was still rather green. The stable would slowly come to an end with much fanfare, and Long would find himself in a new role as SmackDown General Manager where he would stay for a number of years. Number 2. The League of Nations. The main purpose of WWE putting together the League of Nations was to get Roman Reigns over as a babyface. It consisted of Sheamus, Wade Barrett, Rusev and Alberto Del Rio, and even these 4 talents couldn't help get Reigns over to the level they wanted. Fans could see straight through the WWE and what they were trying to do, and Sheamus during an interview even admitted that the stable didn't do any of the members any favours and it only existed to help Reigns. The group broke up officially in April of 2016 as all active members of the group walked out during a match. The group would then proceed to have a backstage brawl, putting an end to this lackluster group. And number 1, FTRKO. In the summer of 2019, the Revival joined forces with Randy Orton on television to feud with the New Day. This trio being put together received unanimous love and support from fans as it resulted in the Revival being used in a meaningful manner, and it gave Orton something new and fresh to work with. There were calls to make the stable a permanent fixture in WWE, especially from Orton, who was so impressed with the work of the Revival that he personally went to Vince McMahon to request that FTRKO become a full-time deal, but McMahon outright refused. During an interview with Jim Cornette on his podcast, this is what the current AEW stars had to say in relation to Orton getting the extra mile to make the stable a permanent reality.
With Randy, who has become one of our mentors and one of our really close friends, who we talk to every single day, he fought for us so hard to get us on TV with him every single week because he believed in our work ethic and he believed in what we brought to the table. And we watched him go to Vince every single week, or Hunter or whoever, and say, we've got to keep this up.
Just take your punishment. Super RKO! Go home.
But there you have it, folks, 10 WWE stables that went absolutely nowhere. Do you remember all of these? Let us know in the comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.